And what we decided to do was focus on excellence in WordPress, focus on excellence in the one platform that actually we could see was growing in the marketplace, the one that was truly going to make a difference. And I don't want to go home at night knowing I've just sold something that isn't really what the client wants.
This is Velocitize Talks. I'm Andy North. I'm joined today by Scott Jones, founder and managing director of Illustrate Digital. Scott, thank you for being here.
You're very welcome.
So let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about Illustrate Digital and your unique value proposition in the marketplace.
Awesome, yeah. So I started an agency back in 2013. Didn't really know I had an agency back then, if I'm honest. But what I knew was I worked brand side. Agencies didn't really respect us as an organization, didn't provide what we were looking for. Typical sort of story really of the sort of things that agencies do to our clients now. Yeah. And it was that sort of like passion, that drive to do it a bit differently that sort of drove me to start Illustrate Digital. And where we are today, sort of what in sort of the leadership of WordPress agencies in the UK, producing, sort of UX design solutions and development solutions for primarily FinTech brands, enterprise brands, both in B2B and B2C sectors. Sort of our unique proposition is our approach to it really. I would say clients don't come to us if they want the same as everyone else. They come to us if they want something done differently. And I would go as far as to say that the right sort of client is the client that actually wants the difference. Don't do it the same way as everyone else, because our customer base will want it done this way. They'll want to, feel our journey, our unique story, our unique proposition. So, yeah, I guess our unique proposition is delivering a unique proposition, if you like.
Yeah, nice. How has UX design evolved since, not just since you started your agency, but since you've been involved with it, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, I feel like UX design has evolved from the sort of typical web design, and it's about making that comparison between the sort of like differentiation between the two. UX design is ultimately about focusing on the user, and I would say that sort of over the last few years, that focus has become more about the user and less about the business's priority and what the business wants to get out of the client, and driving actually the end user story. And that has made a huge difference. When you focus on that, you actually get results out of digital. When you actually consider what will the user do, what does the user need, then you can drive actual true results.
So you bring that expertise with UX. Would it be fair to say that you could have an outstanding marketing campaign, but if you don't have the right UX vibe and feel and look to it, it could completely fail?
Effectively, yeah. If the journey is not simple, if the journey doesn't communicate the purpose, the belief, the message of that brand in a very quick, direct way that is targeted to that user, then that brand misses out.
What excites you about digital marketing now, and where do you see it going over the next few years?
I think it's that same approach to users. It's the personalization element of digital, and it's knowing that when you visit a website, it's going to be more unique to who you are. It's going to be more unique to that individual user. I quite often speak about if you put a marketing campaign together for someone that is, you're giving them a specific offer, but effectively what they land on is a landing page or a user journey that is very generic, then that offer is no longer about them. It's just that generic offer. If you change the conversation, if you change the story to, hey, I produced something unique for you, and that thing I offered you on another platform follows completely through with the same narrative, the same story into the user journey of the website, then flows through, whether that be the conversion funnel, the checkout process, whatever that is, that makes a huge difference to actually conversion rate, but also how your customers think of you, how your customers behave, how they engage with you, whether you create advocates out of those customers. It changes completely the whole conversation from start to finish.
Would it be fair to say that historically it's been one website or one digital experience for 1 million users? Now it's more 1 million digital experiences for one user.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. And I think that main difference is, people would have said before, like, create me this, and it would be that one thing, right. And that thing would be fixed, and after a few years, it would be changed in its entirety. But that's not the way that the world works anymore. That's not the way that the digital world works. And actually, especially what we try and do is create an experience that allows content managers and marketers to actually own their own content, to be as relevant as they possibly can, to keep that content as relevant as it can be ongoing. So actually, especially through WordPress, you're putting the power in the hands of the marketer. You're not, having to make them come back to you all of the time to get something done again, done again, done again.
So you obviously use WordPress. Why WordPress? And how do you see it continuing to evolve over, given that it's open source?
Yeah, WordPress has been that just consistently flexible platform throughout the whole time that we've used it. Before I started this agency, I used it in my previous role. I fell in love with it straight away just for its simplicity, but also for the community that's attached to it. If you needed help, you had plenty of access to it. And that has been, I would say, a key part of our growth is actually when you get stuck with WordPress, you can reach out to the rest of the community and say, how do you guys do this? And actually you'll get a great answer from it. There's plenty of support around that. But yeah, as I say, it's all down to the ability and flexibility that the platform has. It is open source, it is free, but it's built in a way that allows you to slice it here and here, put something in the middle and just grow that and expand it as much as you need to without actually breaking it completely.
Do you find that you have clients coming to you saying, we want to build this on WordPress, or they just say, this is what we'd like to have, this is what we'd like to fix, and you recommend WordPress?
Yeah, the conversation for us has very much changed. I found a lot of my day-to-day role being about pushing the agenda of WordPress. And that was very tiring because we were getting general inquiries into our agency that we're looking for a website. And the conversation has now changed to, we're looking for WordPress. We want the right person, the right agency to implement that for us. And usually a marketer or a CTO comes with an agenda of some sort. That agenda now is changing to, we want WordPress, because it is the biggest content management platform, right? So when they're doing their research, and that's a good client to have, one that's done their research and found that WordPress is the best solution, and that understands that it isn't it's not a non-secure solution. It's actually something that can be implemented well, can be implemented sometimes quickly, but sometimes with a very thought through process. When you've got that sort of client and they come to you and say, we want WordPress, then the conversation is immediately about how can we make WordPress work for you, and not how can we sell WordPress to you. You actually start further down the funnel with a new client, and you start in a better place with a better relationship. But I think that's as WordPress is evolving, as WordPress is still gaining traction in the marketplace, but more importantly, gaining traction in the enterprise space.
So you've seen that evolution from the sort of small, medium business level where it was more affordable, i.e. free, up to the .coms, where they're starting to embrace the power of open source. Definitely,
and we have changed our business and our narrative as well along with that. So actually, we used to be quite a generalist agency. We, if someone asked us to do something, we'd just go and figure out how to do it. We actually had to change, and we had to focus on excellence. And what we decided to do was focus on excellence in WordPress, focus on excellence in the one platform that actually we could see was growing in the marketplace, the one that was truly going to make a difference. And I don't want to go home at night knowing I've just sold something that isn't really what the client wants. Actually, to be fair, if I think WordPress isn't the right thing, which is rare, I will say it's not the right thing, or it doesn't sound like it's really what you're asking for. But yeah, in terms of the enterprise marketplace, in terms of open source, it pretty much is the answer to most of the challenges that brands are facing.
Some have speculated that the website is going the way of the dinosaur. How do you see the website continuing to evolve in today's market?
It's a very interesting one, isn't it? Because you could almost compare it to books, and it's changed into videos, films, even ebooks, but people are still buying physical books. So I don't necessarily, if you compare it to that, I don't necessarily see the website disappearing, but it's not about a website, it's about an experience. And I think that, if you change the conversation to experience, it's not the same anymore. I think people will still want to go and see the credibility of a brand. they'll still want to understand what that brand offers for them, because you could start to bring AI and voice and VR into the conversation. And yes, those things are going to grow and they're going to be, potentially big things in the future. But people, I think, are still looking for that experience of who a brand is. And I'm not sure you can really get that through voice or really get that through AI, because at the end of the day, like, a computer is talking to you, not someone who carefully thought through that content, carefully thought through that journey. So it's a bit of an interesting one, because it's sort of that unknown. Does anyone really know? So
are you seeing any of your clients saying, we absolutely want an app, we don't want a website, we just want an app?
There are a few clients that say that, and you can use the stat, right, of 0% new downloads over 6 months in America, and when you then sort of think about it from your own perspective, when was the last time I actually downloaded an app? When did I need an app? Because PWA and even AMP to an extent is becoming really relevant, and we can change the conversation and we can say, how about we look at PWA? Would that be a suitable solution for you?
You've essentially got a website that functions like an app, but it's actually a website.
Yeah, without the user having to go through an entirely different journey. And actually, that's a challenge for marketers, is you completely lose the analysis in between. You send someone from your website to the App Store and Apple strips everything out, and you lose your analysis. So actually, you don't know what marketing channels are effective, and that makes it really difficult to market something. It makes it, you pour your money into a black hole and hope that something comes out the other side. And you know that something has come out the other side, you just don't know which channel was effective. So yeah, apps versus websites is a pretty interesting conversation to have. If the other side of it is the app can produce that recurring revenue that people are more bought in, more sold on something that they use regularly, and apps definitely have a place. But when it comes to general advertising, marketing, delivering a message, an app is probably a sledgehammer to crack an egg sort of thing.
Is there a book, a blog, or a podcast that you're fond of that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, so for us in the FinTech sector, 11FS is a really good resource. And I believe there's like a film that's about to launch about it as well, about the sort of 11 years of the financial crisis to now. And yeah, I think the content in that is just really good. I think if you are in an industry, if you have a niche, if you focus on something, then really you should know that subject inside out. You don't want to be embarrassed when a client asks you, what does this mean? And you don't have a clue, when actually you're supposed to be a specialist in fintech. So yeah, like that's a really good resource for me, actually delving into that. Simon Sinek's book on, is it Know Your Why? Find Your Why.
Yes.
That is a really great book. I think for any brand, for any individual, to sort of reset yourself and figure out why you do what you do, to take yourself back in time to figure out what solutions have you tried to avoid, and what things in your life have you tried to overcome and solve to get where you are, because ultimately that's your story, right? That's your difference. That's who you are. I think that book has been crucial to how we speak about ourselves, how I speak about myself, how we define our journey. Knowing who you are and knowing why you do what you do is like really powerful, actually, surprisingly powerful.
My guest today has been Scott Jones, founder and managing director at Illustrate Digital. Scott, thank you. It's been fascinating.
Very welcome. Thank you.